Trump was always the programmer and the producer of his own show. Trump wanted to turn the reporters into participants, as characters in a story he was telling.
When he announced his candidacy, he said that Mexican immigrants were criminals and rapists. I knew that he was wrong, so I decided to write him a letter, a handwritten letter. Nobody does that anymore. And I told him, Mr. Trump, I want to have an interview with you. I have many questions. Here's my cell phone number. And then instead of responding to me, he published my cell phone number online. And then I started getting hundreds, at the end, thousands of texts and phone calls. So we checked his schedule, and he was going to give a press conference in Dubuque, Iowa.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
So we brought 2 or 3 cameras, a microphone, and we had a plan.
Okay, who's next? Yeah, please.
I raised my hand and said, I have a question on immigration.
Excuse me, sit down. You weren't called. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Go ahead. No, you don't. You haven't been called.
I have the right to ask the question.
Go back to Univision.
Go back to Univision. What he really was saying is, go back to Mexico. Go back to your country of origin, because we don't want you here.
You cannot deport 11 million.
Go ahead.
You cannot deport 11 million people.
When he realized that I was challenging him, he tried to stop me.
Don't touch me, sir. Don't touch me.
Yes, go ahead. Hi, Chip. Yes.
Roger Ailes says you need to apologize to Megyn Kelly. Will you do that?
No, I wouldn't do that. She actually should be apologizing to me, but I would not do that. No.
You're very rude. It's not about you. Get out of my country. Get out.
This is
not about you.
I'm a U.S. citizen too.
Well, whatever. No, Univision. No, it's not about you.
It's not about you. It's about the United States. I've been living in this country for 34 years, and I have never experienced anything like that. 2 reporters protested and made sure that I was able to go back, but the offensive remarks that I received, me and my family, are something that I really never expected. I thought that I was part of this country. I thought that this country had embraced me. I thought this country was going to protect me. Some of the things that I've heard and things that I still get on social media are incredible, completely un-American, I think.
I have never heard or seen such outrageous, vicious, distorted reporting in 27 years of public life.
And the animosity between White Houses and political reporters is nothing new.
Mr. President.
Nixon hated the press.
There was maintained what was called an enemy's list.
The press is the enemy. The press was the enemy. The press is the enemy.
I was on Nixon's enemies list. He broke into my office. He went through my income tax every year. He did all kinds of outrageous things.
The 1970s up until now, there's been a concerted effort to delegitimize, to attack, to tear down, and to replace what we would call the mainstream media.
We've now reached this moment when we can firmly announce the starting of a Fox News channel.
Most of the press I call willing accomplices to the liberal power base in Washington.
But political journalism took a wrong turn a long time ago. The most sophisticated political journalists began to look at the political world through the eyes of professionals in politics and identify with the political class. They began to look at the voters out there as objects to be manipulated, like the pollster looks at them, like the handlers look at them, like the campaign manager looks at them.
250,000 journalism jobs have been lost since 1990. The vast majority of those jobs were in local journalism. As journalism has become more and more disconnected from the local experience and seen as an elite and distant profession, I think people have lost trust and confidence.
Please welcome Rachel Maddow.
But the number 2 reason for distrust of the media is self-inflicted wounds.
Good evening. There are new questions tonight about President Bush's service. CBS News has exclusive documents.
Several experts saying they're fake.
A scandal dubbed Rathergate rocked CBS News.
Our own mistakes, missteps, shortcomings, outright errors, and falsehoods, just sloppiness.
The New Republic fired Stephen Glass after learning he had made up facts. Patricia Smith making up quotes and characters. The Cincinnati Enquirer, after a series of articles the paper says were untrue.
I tell you, deep down in my gut, I think you're on a slide now. The incentives are ratings, the incentives are money, the incentives are fame. And if people don't trust the press, we are all in bad trouble.
I can't hear you anymore.
There's just mass confusion. There's paranoia. Who's actually trying to inform me about what's going on?
The decline of trust in the press isn't the product of the last 4 years, it's the product of the last 40.
When people are pounded night after night with that kind of frantic, hysterical reporting, it naturally shakes their confidence.
But the difference between Nixon and Trump is that Trump is so against the essential value of a free press that he feels he doesn't have to pay it any respect at all.
We've never been here before.
You want to take some of the guys with you?
The stakes of this, the enormity of this. We're not just covering a campaign. We're not just covering an election, and we're not just covering the aftermath of an election.
Is this the door?
We are covering a huge identity crisis. America trying to figure out what the heck it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Donald Trump.
Donald Trump was tapping into something, and that phenomenon was something to behold.
He was mesmerizing. And the Trump ratings bump was real, and it was a big deal.
Reporters and anchors found him very entertaining. And entertaining also meant higher ratings, and entertaining also meant more money.
He got the car crash coverage. You're like, where do you see what he's gonna say next?
Mr. Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press, sir.
John McCain, he's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you. First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. That I can tell you. They asked Ted Cruz, serious question, well, what do you think of waterboarding? Is it okay? And honestly, I thought he'd say absolutely, and he did. She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to... Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's a pussy. That's terrible. Terrible.
He was on television all the time. And the other candidates were miseries.
Just one other thing, I got to get this off my chest. Donald Trump is a jerk.
Well, this has escalated between you and Mr. Bush.
Jeb is a weak and ineffective person.
This is a tough business to run for president.
I know, you're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is
real
principled.
tough.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the presidency.
Let's see, I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
Donald Trump today attempted to settle one of the more controversial issues of his campaign, his hair.
I don't wear a toupee. It's my hair. I swear.
I think that history will not look kindly at the way, particularly television news, covered the Trump candidacy.
Breaking news, Donald Trump's grand entrance. Trump arriving for a rally in Alabama in what can only be called true Trump fashion. In just a few minutes, Donald Trump will be speaking here.
The just completely unmediated access to the homes of millions and millions and millions of Americans really was a huge mistake.
We are standing by for Donald Trump. He'll be appearing at that rally in Mobile just moments away.
Donald Trump was the leading Republican almost from the start. So the leading contender is always going to get a disproportionate amount of attention.
breaking news. Donald Trump about to address his largest crowd to date. I do want you to stay with us. Breaking news. We are live any minute now. While we wait for Trump, here is Jeannie Mose on how to put on a good Trump face.
Everybody's doing Donald. Not that Donald, the Donald.
I was fantastic. The ratings were huge.
You know, pointing a camera at something and keeping it there is technology. It's, you know, making sure the light is on.
A lot happening tonight. Right now, though, there is this.
That is just the start of things. You then have to report and dig and think and analyze. And I think that Jeff Zucker, among others, recognizes that there was way, way too much unadulterated, unmediated, I wouldn't even call it coverage. I was just sort of sticking a camera and pointing it for the sake of ratings.
We asked all of the other candidates to come on, and almost all of them declined. Donald Trump said yes all the time. They said no almost all of the time.
Hillary Clinton said it's not hard to imagine Donald Trump leading us into war because someone got under his very thin skin.
Well, first of all, I don't have thin skin. I have very strong, very thick skin.
We begged Hillary Clinton, Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, let us do an hour interview with you. We'll talk about everything. We'll tell your life story. All three of them turned us down.
And yet they want to believe that we still shouldn't have put Donald Trump on just because they were saying no. That's not the way it works. They had every opportunity to come on. They had every opportunity to do interviews. They had every opportunity to phone in, and they declined. That's not Donald Trump's fault. That's not CNN's fault. That's their fault.
There was an abdication of responsibility by particularly the cable news operators to provide context.
Donald Trump is about to speak before a sold-out crowd.
It's endlessly entertaining, but as we wear on in this election cycle, people are going to look for answers, and I'm not sure he's got them.
In your experience, Josh, pause, everyone, take it in. Donald Trump is taking the stage.
I love the people of Mexico. I love the Hispanics. Kanye West, I love him.
This notion that spectacle alone is acceptable political coverage is just bananas to me.
You can't be on 24/7 and, you know, have everything be perfect and have everybody like everything you do. But if you take a step back and you look at our campaign coverage through the year, I don't think anybody could hold a candle to our coverage, including our good friends in the print media who like to throw darts because that's what they do.
We are still getting details about a mass shooting in San Bernardino.
We are in pursuit of the suspect. We've got shots fired out the back window.
Who were they?
Sayed Rizwan Farouk. He was born in the U.S. and Tashfeen Malik.
We have 14 people that are confirmed dead. The two suspects are deceased.
A few days ago in California, we didn't have guns. The bad guys had the guns. Paris was like target practice. Come over here, boom. Come over here, boom. And how about the woman? She radicalized the guy. Probably a guy couldn't get women. I don't know what the hell his problem was.
At the rallies, there was always an undercurrent of being against the other. But the Muslim ban day, it felt electric. It felt like the room was, just light a match and it was going to catch on fire. It felt to me like a good night to lay low.
Why don't you get her out? See, our country has this kind of security. That's the problem we have.
And then he goes on an attack against the media.
These people back here, they're the worst. So dishonest. They don't want to show this crowd. And yet, I guarantee you, that young woman that just got taken out after interrupting us 3 times, I guarantee the cameras will be on her. I guarantee. It's disgusting.
And not just against the media, but attack against me personally.
The media, most of it is absolute scum. Remember that. Scum. Scum. I had a reporter from NBC. She's back there. Little Katie. She's back there.
Little Katie, she's back there. And the entire room turned at me and pointed and booed.
No. What a lie. Katie Tur.
It was extraordinarily unnerving.
Third-rate reporter. Remember that. Third-rate. Third-rate.
And then Donald Trump announces that he is going to ban all Muslims from coming into the country.
So listen, Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
His supporters had been with him up until that point. The question was, would they remain with him?
You have no choice.
And they would.
We have no choice.
And then standing up a few minutes later to do a live shot with Chris Matthews and, you know, having my back to the crowd, which is unnerving. Only thing between me and a few thousand people was a couple shoddy bicycle racks.
Is that a protester? Oh, good. Turn the cameras. I think the media is among the most dishonest groups of people I've ever met.
When Donald Trump turned on the press, it started to change at the rallies.
Security became a much bigger issue for our reporters than ever before.
In Chicago, the Donald Trump campaign called off a rally out of what they called safety concern.
A reporter says Trump's campaign manager grabbed her, nearly threw her to the ground.
I cannot even describe to you what it is like to be on the press riser when he says, everybody turn around and look at those horrible people back there, those dishonest people back there. And then to have all of these people turn around and start to jeer you.
By March or April, we had security full-time everywhere we went, even standing outside of Trump Tower in New York City.
By that point in the campaign, Trump had been coming after me for 9 months. Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, had tweeted out, among other things, "We can gut her." There would be a crescendo in my life of threats and vitriol and difficulty every time Trump sent out a tweet. It had become very clear to me that he was not going to stop. It was never going away. So I decided to try to make it stop myself. And I went to Trump Tower.
You met with Megyn Kelly today. How did that go?
For me, it felt like a hostage asking her captor to let her go. But he and I got to a place where we could coexist in a reasonable fashion. And I asked him for an interview for this special I was doing.
We need the interviews. So you do have conversations, and sometimes you make deals. I've railed against that for a very long time, but you do need them to show up.
There is a value in being the person who's engaging with Trump. Having people, email you and tweet at you that you're a whore is terrible. But I think Trump has made a lot of people's careers.
Been a long 9 months.
It has been a long time, I agree. I have great respect for you that you were able to call me and say, let's get together and let's talk. To me, I would not have done that.
When you look back, any regrets?
I could have done certain things differently. And overall, I have to be very happy with the outcome.
I have had conversations with the president privately to say, stop singling out people, because when you single out individuals, they get threats.